I mean, we've all been humbled and we've all learned appreciation. And I think what we enforce and reinforce in ourselves is, can we ask the question, am I making an impact? And, frankly, when we started these businesses, the community embraced us with open arms. And we just feel a sense of obligation that we have to give back.
The Small Business Rundown is the official podcast of the National Federation of Independent Business, the member-driven voice of small business. NFIB and our members advocate to keep America's small businesses strong and independent in Washington, D.C., all 50 states, and the nation's courts.
Welcome to the Small Business Rundown, a biweekly podcast with information on independent businesses' victories and challenges in Washington, D.C. and state capitals. I'm Adam Temple, NFIB Senior Vice President of Advocacy. Today, we're taking an in-depth look at vital role small businesses play in their communities. NFIB member Brian Funtleyder and NFIB Research Center Executive Director Holly Wade are with me today to discuss the ways in which small businesses contribute to their communities and NFIB's recent survey findings. Brian and Holly, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Well, Brian, it's good to see you again. I'd like to start by hearing about your small business and a little bit more about why you started it.
Sure. So my wife, Lori, and I started Boundless Adventures back in 2015. Boundless Adventures builds, operates, and owns aerial challenge courses, which are high ropes courses through the trees, including zip lines, obstacles, Tarzan swings, you name it, any way to get from one tree to the next. Beyond being a fun business, it really helps people develop self-confidence and problem-solving skills. And, we've seen it in action many times. So right now we have 3 locations, one in New York, one in Wisconsin, and one in Massachusetts. It dates back to when we took a small family vacation to West Virginia a few years prior to opening the company. And we found the small aerial challenge course. Our kids were young at the time, and we didn't know what to expect. But when we took them on the course, they just developed this quiet confidence that they'd never had before because they felt like they were really achieving something. And you could just see like a light bulb went off in their heads. And we looked at ourselves and said, we have to bring this closer to home. Also, Wall Street was kind of crashing at the time. So, we were doubly motivated to find something better to do with ourselves.
That's great. And we're talking about community contributions today. Brian, what have you found as some opportunities for your small business to give back to the community?
Well, that's been one of the most amazing parts of our business. We've always strived to bring people from underserved communities to Boundless because, we've come up with a philosophy and frankly, it's a founding principle that everyone should have a chance to be their best selves. Mm-hmm. So one really good example is there's a great organization on the south side of Chicago called Project Hood. It was founded by Pastor Corey Brooks. You may have seen him on TV. He's the rooftop pastor. Anyway, they have programs that are geared towards inner city youth, and it provides an alternative to violence and hopelessness. They have education programs, mentorship programs, community-based programs, and we're proud to partner with them. So every summer we have 2 days that Project Hood comes, no cost, between 100 and 150 what they call campers, but they're in week-long programs, come and climb at Boundless, and they do great. And it's sad and happy because many of these kids have never even seen a forest, maybe a few trees in the city, and just being there just seems to change them, that they didn't even know this environment existed. And then when they get up there and climb, obviously they have a good time and there's a little horsing around, but at the end of the day, some of them really find themselves. And again, we talk about that confidence, that amazing inner confidence that just comes with doing something new and something out of your comfort zone. And it's beautiful to watch. So something that's very near and dear to our hearts is veterans. We owe such an amazing gratitude to our military and our emergency service members. Unfortunately, they don't generally get the appreciation and respect they deserve. And we really try to do our part. So we've guided several, not many actually, wounded veterans, both physically and psychologically. And up until this point, it's really been on a one-off basis. But we're working hard and partnering with organizations to focus on wounded veterans so we could have a more formalized program, and then we could help that many more people. And beyond these types of programs, we also have fundraisers. Every year in our Kenosha location, we have a Veterans Appreciation Climb, where all veterans and their families climb for free. And all the money we raise goes to a local organization. This year, it was the American Legion. So this year, we actually had more than 250 participants come.
Wow.
And just watching some of these veterans who, had a hard time, have a hard time readjusting, and doing it with their children and their families is amazing. And what is another amazing part about these events is not only there are many people that come, the veterans that don't climb. And we do a very strong outreach. We try to bring as many veterans from Kenosha County as we can. And unfortunately, some of them are shut-ins and don't realize that they have a community of veterans right close to home. So not only that, they find this brotherhood and sisterhood, but we also have tables set up with services, like Blue Star Moms and local VFWs. And again, many of these veterans, these heroes, don't even know that this community existed. So really just so proud and happy to give them an introduction. And, they take it from there. One other thing that we're really working hard on is a program to create an accessible zip line for people in wheelchairs. It's something that we've always wanted to do, and just we're more and more motivated to do it. And unfortunately, it's a very complex and a costly project. And it's going to maybe multi-years. So unfortunately, if the 20% small business deduction is not renewed, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to do it. Because frankly, the pass-through deduction has really freed up a lot of capital that allows us to give back to the community. And again, that is more important than ever to do.
As you've done these couple great examples, what have you or your staff learned about the importance of why it's important to give back to the community?
Oh, well, we've all been humbled and we've all learned appreciation. And I think what we enforce and reinforce in ourselves is, can we ask the question, am I making an impact? And, frankly, when we started these businesses, the community embraced us with open arms. And we just feel a sense of obligation that we have to give back. Look, we've been really lucky in business. We've been fairly successful, and some of that's hard work, but a lot of that, is good fortune. And we are lucky to live when we do and where we do and have the support networks that we do. So we have to kind of use ourselves as a force of good. And, to be honest, I do think we've changed a few lives. And I know that sounds like a superlative, but some people really, really find themselves. And I'd like to give one example, and it's a smaller example, but I talk about it because it really is impactful. A few years ago, we had a girls' soccer team. I think they were in 8th grade, come to visit. And like any team, they have the star player and they have the player that rides the bench. So when they came and climbed as a team, turns out that the bench player was the best climber and fearless. And turns out the star player was actually afraid of heights. So when they climbed together, they saw each other in a different light. And that bench player, got to show what she was made of and really got to show her mettle. And we say the trees are a great equalizer. We received a call from the coach a couple of months later at the end of the season, and he said that after the trip, when they went onto the field, that bench player felt a lot more confidence, took a lot more chances on the field, and that she wasn't riding the bench anymore. And he attributed it to coming to Boundless Adventures. And I'm lucky, I'm honored to be part of that.
Absolutely. Holly, how does what Brian shared fit with the recent survey that you did on community contributions?
Sure. So it's just so inspiring to hear stories of small business owners. Brian's story about his business and their connection with the community and the activities that they participate in that are so far-reaching and so important in supporting their community and causes. So we've heard from a number of small business owners and their stories, and in the Research Center, we wanted to get a better understanding of their level of participation, motivations, and types of activities that they volunteer in.
Now, a quick ad break for an update on federal beneficial ownership information reporting.
The Corporate Transparency Act and its nationwide beneficial ownership information reporting requirements continue to be on hold due to ongoing litigation about the law's constitutionality. This means filing is currently voluntary, but that is subject to change. In the meantime, NFIB and small business owners are urging Congress to quickly pass legislation that would permanently relieve small businesses of this burdensome mandate. Learn more at nfib.com/protectprivacy.
Welcome back to the Small Business Rundown. Holly, what were the specific areas on which the survey focused?
So we looked to see if their volunteer activities were related to their time, the owner's time, or even their employees' time in participating personally in volunteer activities, whether it was financial support or, in some cases, in-kind contributions. For the most part, it's a mix of all three that small business owners participate in. Primarily the cash contributions. That's the most reported type of volunteer activity, that they are contributing money to their cause within their community, to other groups that they're supporting. But more than 1 in 5 small business owners are saying that they are personally taking time out of their day to volunteer in those activities. And another, almost a quarter of them saying in-kind contributions to varying degrees. But cash contributions, we know that small business owners, their time is their most valuable asset in operating their business. And so depending on their time availability, cash contributions can be a great way for small business owners, and that's their most popular way of contributing to their community. But again, it's a mix of all three for many small business owners, most small business owners. We did find that virtually all small business owners in some capacity are volunteering in different activities to support their community and other types of activities, associations, and programs that are important to them.
And what types of groups or causes are these contributions going towards?
Sure. So it spans a wide range of groups or activities, types of activities, not surprisingly. 3 out of 4 say that it's related to education or school-related activities or groups that they primarily focus on. But 2 out of 3 contribute to sports-related activities. So if you've gone into your local hardware store or restaurant, oftentimes you see the local baseball team or girls soccer team, things like that they're supporting and contributing their time, money, or resources for those activities. But 65% say that it's civic causes like festivals and community promotion. And again, certainly those that are more religious-oriented, human services, including food and housing programs, the Red Cross, or health and disability-related activities. So it does span the spectrum of all types of activities that they're participating in, volunteering their time and money as part of their business operations.
Yeah. Is any of this quantifiable? Like how much time and money are we talking about that small businesses give?
Yes. So we do know that for about 40% of them, they're contributing a few $1,000s, so between $1,000 to $5,000, and over a quarter say that it's over $5,000. Yeah. So it's a strong contribution that small business owners are contributing to their community in those cash donations, but also in their time.
Yeah. And what did the survey show for the importance of community involvement?
Huge support. The motivations that they say are related to personal fulfillment and also just uplifting their community because it's generally the place where they live. Down the list is because of their business and, kind of promoting their business. For the most part, it really is their motivation on a personal level, their connection to the community because it's where they live, because their employees are often from their community, and building that up to have a really strong business environment for them to operate, but also their neighboring businesses to operate, but mostly for personal fulfillment and because of where they live and making sure that they contribute that way.
Before I go back over to Brian, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes. Well, as Brian mentioned, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, preserving those provisions that are set to expire at the end of 2025 are so important in allowing small business owners, again, to financially contribute to those volunteer activities that are so important to them. We know that their profits, their earnings are their number one source in financing their business and financing those business activities, and this is a very important one for them.
Brian, you've attended NFIB's Small Business Tax Summit here in Washington, D.C. You've talked to lawmakers about the importance of making the 20% small business tax deduction permanent. How does that fit with your plans or your ability to give back to your communities moving forward?
It's very important and it's very impactful because, we can give and we want to give back to the community, but we are small businesses. And, we're not big nameless corporations. We need to compete against them for employees. I mean, small business deductions actually allowed us to raise our wages so we can be at least somewhat competitive. And because of that, it does free up more money so we could do more good for the community. We work with Title I schools, and we have them come to balance at a deep discount. And we're able to do that because we have a little financial leeway to do that. But without the 20% deduction, we have to start thinking about, first, we have to pay our employees. First, we have to retain our employees. And then we might have to raise our prices because we just have to make up for the fact that we're paying the tax on that 20%.
Yeah. And
then when we raise our prices, our activity becomes less accessible to those who really can't afford to come. And that's sad. That would be absolutely very sad.
Absolutely. And any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, I just want to say Holly's point about being part of the community is really important. Again, we're not these nameless, faceless businesses. We're members, our neighbors, our friends come to our businesses. They see us in the grocery store, the hardware store. And, I feel like my staff and my family, we walk around with a little, I don't want to say a swagger, but we're proud to be part of the community and we're proud to give back. And it just feels good all around. And you have to have that symbiotic relationship with the community to make it work. And it's been great. And frankly, we have to remember that being socially responsible and making a profit are not mutually exclusive.
Well, it's not always pleasant to have conversations about policy here in Washington, D.C., but to use your term, it feels good to have this one today. And we appreciate you joining us, you too, Holly. Thank you guys for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
A link to read the full research report is in this episode's show notes. There is also a link to urge Congress to repeal the Corporate Transparency Act and relieve small businesses of its beneficial ownership reporting requirements. A link to how you can get involved to make the small business tax deduction permanent is also included in today's show notes. If you have a question or a topic for future episodes, please email us at podcast@nfib.org. And now I want to thank you, the listeners, for joining us on today's Small Business Rundown. We'll be back every 2 weeks bringing you news and analysis from Washington, D.C. and state capitals so that you, whether you're a business owner or a supporter of one, can continue to blaze a trail.
The Small Business Rundown is brought to you by NFIB, the voice of small business. You can find us at nfib.com and on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.